creation and testing of AI agents using this tool, which is a no-code platform. So the people from functional domain as well can create their agents using this tool, using some predefined templates and explore the agents as per your specific modules. So I'll give you the basic introduction of the module. We'll have a hands-on session where I would show you few agents. We'll create a small agent, test it, and then you can explore it as per your module. So we'll start with the session. So first we'll start with the agenda for the session. We'll cover what is AI Agent Studio, what is the basic workflow, core capabilities, key strength of this tool, limitations, some common use cases, and then we'll deep dive into the Fusion instance and we would create an AI agent. And at the last, we'll have some Q&A sessions. So what is AI Agent Studio? As we know, like there are different tools for creating applications. So for creating an Android application, we have a Android Developer Studio. Similarly, if we want to create AI agents, so we have this Agent Studio tool where we could create the agents, test it, deploy it on the Fusion Redwood pages. So think it of like a drag and drop builder. You don't need to write any Java code, or you don't need to write any SQL query for that. You just need to select few options, give the proper prompt, and then test and debug that particular agent. So this is about the AI Agent Studio. It is a low code, no code platform, like making a basic, like starting from a single agent to multi-agent, workflow agent, supervisor agent. You can build complex agents as well, which could do the setups in Fusion application itself. Like from a chatbot, you can create a chatbot to a multi-agent complex process which could automate the whole business process. So built in, not bolted on. Can anyone guess what is this tagline, or can anyone just guess what could it mean? In Oracle AI Agent Studio, this was in Oracle AI World, it was one of the tagline which Oracle had published. So can anyone guess this, what it could mean? Built in, not bolted on. Anyone can guess?
AI feature outside the system. So I think it is related to that.
Yes, it's somewhat related. So built-in, not bolted on. It's like the Agent Studio. It's a tool inside the Fusion application itself. You can create the agents, and the data is also in the Fusion instance. So you can use that data and create the agents inside Fusion. You don't need any third-party tools to create agent. Everything works natively inside the same Fusion itself. So the data is in Fusion, and the Agent Studio is in Fusion itself. So this was the meaning for this tagline: built in, not bolted on. Then we'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Who's online? Just check once.
Mukta, Prince, and some seniors. Namrata, man. Yes.
Go ahead.
So now we'll discuss the types of agents. So there are basically different types of agents, three types of agents. First, we'll cover up the sequential agent. So as the name indicates, the sequential agent, it performs the specific task. It executes the workflow is based on the sequential task. So it would execute the step 1, then step 2, step 3. So let's say if I have built an agent which compares the items. So initially it would fetch the item details from Fusion. Then it would compare the attributes. It would show the differences in tabular format. So it would work in a specific sequence. And if it fails at a specific step, then the execution ends at that step. So it won't give the answer. So this is the normal if you want automation, which would compare your items. So like for basic use cases, we can use this type of agent. Then second is the workflow agent. Workflow agent would work on a specific condition. Like let's say if we consider in procurement, if the PO amount, purchase order amount is less than 1 lakh, then it would automatically approve that PO. So it would go into the Fusion application and it would approve the PO. And let's say if the PO amount is greater than 1 lakh. So based on the condition, it would send it to the manager for approval. So based on specific conditions, it would approve the PO. So this is a workflow agent. So we have different workflow agents coming up in 26A, which would automatically do the task for the user. You just have to give the proper prompt and trigger to that agent. It would automatically create or do the setups for you. So let's say even I had explored one agent which creates items in PIM. So if we provide item name, item description, and the UIM for the item and the item class, it would automatically create item for you. And when we check it in the instance level, you can see that specific item. So item creation and in purchase requisition as well, like from quote to purchase requisition. If you provide a trigger to a specific quote, it would automatically create a purchase requisition out of that. But then again, few complex tasks, it requires a human in loop option. So if you add that human in loop option, then it would ask for approval. So the requisition would be there, it would be created, but it would be in draft status. When the user approves it, it would get submitted. So like in finance as well, it would like create basic invoices, but it won't submit it. It would ask for approval and then it would submit it. So the basic creation part gets automated for the user. So this is the workflow agent. And then the third type of agent is supervisor agent. Supervisor agent is used in complex business processes or complex scenarios. So we have multiple agents. In multiple agents, we have different tools. So the supervisor agent would decide which agent will work at which use case. Like when which agent should execute or work, it will be decided by the supervisor agent. So let's say, for example, if we have to scan some bills. So initially it would scan the bill and it would extract the data from the bills. So for that, you would use the agent. So supervisor would decide that initially the document understanding agent should work. Once the document understanding agent is like the agent would extract the data by scanning the particular image, it would extract the data and it would send the data to the second agent. And then the processing of that data would take place. So again, after first agent, the second agent would work in collaboration. So all this is managed by the orchestrator or the supervisor agent, which would manage when which agent should work. So this is about the supervisor agent, and the three agents are differentiated based on like the sequential agent follows a fixed flow. If the agent fails in between any of the steps, then the execution stops at that time, and the agent won't be able to answer. It would get stuck. In the second agent is rule-based flow or condition-based flow. If the condition gets true, then it would do the specific setup on functional side inside the Fusion application. Then the third is the supervisor agent. It is an intelligent dynamic control. So it would think and it would automatically send the commands to the agent, which agent should work at what time. So these are the three major types of agents: supervisor, workflow, and sequential. So we'll explore this in the application itself. I just gave you the brief overview of the agent. So when we open the AI Agent Studio, these are the basic components of AI Agent. So we have agent team. So the agent team consists of one or more agents, as we can see. Each agent has specific tools, topics, and instructions. Based on these tools, topics, and instructions, we train a specific agent to work and do a specific task for us. And then at the end, we do the testing of the agent. Once the agent is built, configured, we add the tools inside the agent. Then we test or debug our agent. Is our agent actually working or not? So these are the basic components of our AI Agent Studio. Agent teams. In the agent teams, we have agents. In agents, we have different tools, instructions, topics, and at the last, we test the agent. So we'll go through it once we have the hands-on session. Then this is the basic workflow of creating an AI agent. So first, we should have a specific use case, what the agent would actually do, which problem it should solve, or what automation we want. So first, we should define the use case. Then we should create a business object. Business object is basically a object which, like, for example, if we want an item comparison advisor, or let's say if we want to create suppliers automatically or customers. So items or suppliers or customers, these becomes the Fusion data objects. These are the business objects. Let's say we want to create some invoices. So invoice is my business object. In business object, we have tools, different types of tools. Let's say we want to send automatic emails to some suppliers. If we want to call some API, which would pass the data to the agent. So that tools, that everything comes under tools. There is a concept of deep link that also comes under tools. So deep link is basically a link which the agent provides in the chatbot answer itself. If we click on that specific link, it would redirect to that Fusion page. So let's say if you want to create some kind of requisition, and if you want to check that actually the requisition is there or not on that specific Fusion instance, so the agent would provide a deep link. When we click on that deep link, it would redirect to that specific requisition page in that way. Then we can attach some policy documents or some kind of documents, PDFs to the tools. Then we can attach those tools to the agent. So these documents would help the agent to get trained. Then we test the agent after attaching all the tools and everything. We test the agent, and then after testing the agent, after the satisfactory uh, work, if the agent works satisfactorily, then we would publish the agent, and then we deploy the agent on the Redwood pages using a VPS. It comes under technical domain, but like this is the whole flow, like from defining the use case to deploying the agent on the Fusion page. This is the whole workflow. Then, as I discussed, these are the different tools which we have inside the Oracle AI Agent Studio. So the document tool, where we could upload some documents, some PDFs, which would help to give the agent answer. Then we have the business object. Then we have the email tool, which would send email automatically. The deep link tool, which would give the link in the chatbot itself, and it would redirect to the specific Fusion page. Then we have external REST tool, which would help us to fetch data from external APIs. If you want any external APIs inside your application, then you can use these tools. We have the calculator tool, which would perform calculations in and give us the accurate answers. So we'll explore these tools. I'll show you these tools in the Fusion AI Agent Studio. Then we have the core capabilities. So drag and drop tool creation, native Fusion REST API integration, no code, low code agent building. Then we have the built-in prompt engineering and orchestration. So the agent in this creation of agent, prompt is very important. If we give the agent correct prompts, so then only the agent would work properly. Like it's like training the agent. If we have any fresher inside our company, initially first 3 months or 4 months, we train them so that once they get trained properly, then they could work for our customers or clients on projects. So the similar way, initially we need to train the specific agents. We should give the correct prompt to that agent. Based on the prompts and training, we would like test the agent performance. Then real-time test and validation environment. So the data is in Fusion application itself. So it would be very easy for us to test the real-time data because the data is on the same instance and the agent is also in the same instance. Then seamless connectivity with Fusion application, easy for functional as well as technical users. So if we want any customization in our agents, we can take help of technical people who have knowledge in APIs and OCI and everything, OCI, OIC. So they can help us and we can create custom agents in this. Then reusable business objects and tools. So if I create a specific tool and I publish that on the AI Agent Studio, if anyone who wants that specific tool in their agent, they can use that tool. So it is open for all. Then LLM powered orchestration for complex workflows. So I'll explain this LLM thing at the last. First, we'll go towards the limitations. So model dependency. So the models which are used in this AI Agent Studio are the OCI models. So we need to underlie for like we are dependent on these OCI models for creating the agents. So it would like there can be some problems in the accuracy or performance as these are dependent on Oracle's underlying OCI models. We don't have more flexibility to test these or make changes in the models. Then customization. Again, it is as it is inside the Oracle, it is a seeded functionality. So we don't have more options to fine tune that specific model or make the changes or add some deep custom machine learning logic inside this. Then it requires proper data sets. If the data is inconsistent or if the data is not in a structured way, then it requires pre-processing, cleaning of the data, and after that only we can use that in the agents. Then we have some OCI services which integrate smoothly. But again, if we require any third-party tools to integrate with our agent, it would require some extra integrations or configurations, which could be complex. Then latency and performance variations. So as this agent studio is newly launched, so the response time of this agent is more. So it takes time to answer and execute the tools at the backend. So it requires time, but with the new advancements and new instances in 26A, 26B, they would be working on this latency and they would launch faster agents which would answer the queries